More than 100 farmers are fighting for their land. They say the feds have been trying to force them off for years. Investigates. Reporter Brad Woodard has a story you won't see anywhere else.
In the shadows of the Oregon mountains near El Paso, where New Mexico's border meets Texas. The remnants of a simple life devoted to coaxing a living from the soil, for the most part, sit idle.
The Spaniards came in the 1500s, and my family came with the Spaniards here.
Lupe Garcia and the ancestors who came before him.
These are organic. I do not use no pesticides.
Have been working this land for centuries.
We were farming here in this valley before the Pilgrims came to the East Coast.
In 1955, his father, a decorated World War II veteran, managed to buy a farm. At its prime, it was a 1,000-acre operation.
Right now, I'm farming 60 acres.
Imagine a regular business-size envelope and the postage stamp in the corner. At one point, Mr. Garcia owned that whole envelope. He now owns the postage stamp, and every day of his life, he has to wake up and look out to that.
Garcia is the lead plaintiff in a lawsuit alleging discrimination by the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
You know, this is not right. We all have the same right to land, freedom.
While working in his field, an Anglo neighbor, came by and said, "Well, keep up the good work. You're just fixing it up for me."
Like laughing at me. He says, "That farm is going to be mine in 10 years."
That was 1989. The neighbor's prediction would come true. Garcia would be forced to liquidate.
Was between 1990 and 2000, they starved us to death. They shut off all our credit. In other words, it's just they cut our wrist and let us bleed out.
Go get some pins to put in the plow, and we'll pick it up and take it.
More than 100 Hispanic farmers are part of the Garcia lawsuit.
I, Ronald Reagan, do solemnly swear that
some of their cases dating back to the early days of the Reagan administration, when the Civil Rights Office of the USDA was quietly dismantled. Farmers say their loans were either arbitrarily denied, or in the case of Bobby Ortega, intentionally delayed for months.
So as the loans came in very late, I didn't have money to buy fuel, the seed, the fertilizer, and I was losing time. And with Mother Nature, you only have so much time until you have to get your crops in.
White farmers have told me that they've been notified by USDA and said, the money's here, come in and get it.
Soon, Bobby Ortega was in trouble.
Well, I lost the farms.
His only options: allow the bank to repossess his equipment or somehow pay off his loans.
I took out my life insurance, I maxed out my credit cards to pay off these loans.
Ortega is among an estimated 82,000 Hispanic farmers in the U.S., many of whom could be affected by the Garcia case. Yet it has languished in the courts. But here's the thing. 1 year before the Garcia lawsuit was filed, African-American farmers were granted class action status in a lawsuit making essentially the same allegations. Rather than risk a trial, the federal government settled for $1 billion.
No justice!
No peace! What's more, President Obama has set aside an additional $1.25 billion to cover new claims from African-American farmers. And yet the Supreme Court recently declined to hear the Garcia case.
That is preposterous, and the only reason the government is doing that is to hope that some of these farmers will give up and go away, and those that don't give up and go away will die.
They ruined my credibility, my family's credibility, my kids' credibility, and beyond repair. My dad died 5 years ago.
And the system that was supposed to be there to help them, a system that admits it has a history of discrimination, he says, is ultimately doing them in. Brad Woodard, 11 News.
We tried to reach the USDA, but it is yet to return our call.